is a topic that plays a very central part in Jewish life and practice. Well, yeah, kind of. Yeah, kind of.
She doesn't miss a meal.
So food is a central part of life in general.
And
And Jewish rituals, and Jewish holidays. We also have the idea of blessings. And blessings are not just for foods. There's blessings we say before foods, after foods. Blessings are part of our prayers. Blessings are part of our, like, there's experiential prayer. Blessings, like, for example, there's blessings that you're supposed to say if you see lightning and thunder, you're supposed to make a blessing. Special blessings for that. There's blessings for if you see you see a rainbow, you see a king, you see a great Torah scholar. Right? A lot of different blessings that we can say. And the Talmud comes along and says something very interesting. The Talmud says that when the verse in Deuteronomy chapter 10 says, "What does the Almighty want from us? Only to fear God," etc. In this chapter 10 in Deuteronomy, it says what it's really referring to. What does the Almighty want from us? To give 100 blessings a day. Why? Because the word ma is also the same word as mea, and mea means 100 and 100 blessings. And if you actually count the letters in the verse, it comes up to 100. So says the Talmud. The Talmud Ramir says a person is obligated to make 100 blessings every single solitary day. Now, this, I think, this statement tells us that blessings are really important in Judaism. So important you gotta do 100 of them a day, which, by the way, sounds like a lot, right?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Earlier we talked about why formal prayer was needed. So does it have to be a formal blessing, or can it just be a formal and, like, let's say you have something to say or pray for?
Yeah, so the Talmud says that a blessing has to have certain elements to it. Like every Jewish blessing starts with the same way. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. Right?
So it has to start with
So it has to have those elements. For example, like the words mean that the Almighty is blessed and He is our God and He is the master of the universe. Every blessing shares that commonality. So if you were to say in English, you got to make sure that it has those qualities to it.
Okay.
That being said, it's very easy. The blessings are it means the blessings they're not so long and they're very easy to memorize, especially the ones on food. So it's just if you just learn in Hebrew, it simplifies everything. But my question is, what's the whole idea of a blessing? Like, why is it? Well, first of all, what's the meaning behind a blessing to begin with? Second of all, why is it so important? Why is it so central? Like, does God really need us to pat Him on the back? Blessed are you, Almighty God, King of the world, that you gave me X, Y, or Z. That every food we have to have. The Almighty can't just give us the food, and the Almighty demands that we acknowledge it or thank Him.
thank you.
Yeah, but does the Almighty really need that we bless Him for every food that we eat and every experience that we have? And so many times during the prayers, you look at the prayers. The prayers supply us with 86 of the 100 daily blessings. If you actually look at the prayers from beginning to end, the morning prayers, the morning blessings, and the prayers that are included in the Amidah services, you come up with 86 blessings.
You're talking about praying 3 times a day?
Yeah, yes.
86?
Yes, then you would get to 86.
Moda and he starts out differently.
Well, that's not really a blessing. That's right. But for example, the blessing that we say on studying Torah, that's a Baruch Atah Hashem. We have 2 of those. The blessing, the morning blessings, it's about like 10 or 12. Every Amidah has 19 blessings. It's called Shemona Esrei. Everyone heard that term, Shemona Esrei? The word Shemona Esrei? The nickname for the Amidah prayer is called Shemona Esrei. What does the word Shemona Esrei mean? means 18. If you actually count the blessings,
But it's 19. Yeah.
it's actually 19 blessings.
Yeah.
Why? Because it was originally established as. Trust me, Shmona here.
No,
It
sorry.
checks
I
out.
was-
If you
I'm
actually
trying to learn.
if you actually count the blessings, it comes out to 19. And the reason why is because when they established the the Amidah prayer to begin with, in the 4th century before the Common Era, they did 18 blessings. And in the 1st century of the Common Era, so it's about 400 years afterwards, they added another blessing. And the blessing was our blessing of rejecting of the Judeo-Christians. That's right. The Judeo-Christians, not the Christians, the Judeo-Christians. Christians are something else. Only the Judeo-Christians were a problem. Now, why would that be so?
What's a Judeo-Christian?
Judeo-Christian. So Christianity started off as a subsect of Judaism.
Oh.
So you would have a neighbor who, your family would go to them for Shabbat meals, and they would light Shabbat candles, and they would go to the same synagogue, but they were closet, secret Judeo-Christians, and you would have no idea.
Yeah, it's like the Messianic Jews here.
Yeah, well, some of them, yeah, like some Messianic Jews, we still have that same problem.
Yeah.
So in order to weed them out and kind of to break away where people have to choose their allegiances, they established another blessing. And the blessing was a curse to the Judeo-Christians. And then we would have people that we suspect that maybe Judeo-Christians say, why don't you leave the services? And then that would put them in a very comfortable situation, and they would have to, finalize their allegiances, are they Jewish or the Christian? Can't be both. So, but because it was already called for 100 years, the 18 blessings, they just kept the name 18 blessings. We don't want to have to reprint all the books, right?
I like these so much.
Okay.
I'm not giving it.
So, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I have another question. So Shema doesn't start off like that either. But shouldn't
Right, so
it
Shema is not a blessing, that's right. But if you look at before the Shema in the morning services,
Okay.
you have what's called Birchos Kriya Shema, the blessings of Kriya Shema. There's 3 blessings right before Kriya Shema, right before reading the Shema, that are blessings on their own right.
Okay.
3 blessings precede Shema, but Shema itself is not a blessing, that's right.
Okay, so I guess why is it not a blessing?
Well, it's a prayer. It's prayers,
Okay, so
but
prayer
it's
versus blessing.
that's right, but it's not specifically a blessing.
Okay.
And I think the important question we have to ask is what's really so special about blessings, and how is it really transformative in a way that justifies the mandate of 100 blessings a day? Prayer is important. We pray 3 times a day. Blessings are important. We got to do it 100 times a day. And it's linked to so many different kinds of experiences. Every time we eat, we got to make a blessing. Every time we pray, we got to make a blessing. Means it seems like it's a very malleable form of religious activity. And the question is, what exactly is a blessing, and what does it do to a person? So I want to introduce some statements in the Talmud. We have 3 statements back to back to back in the book of Brachos. The word Brachos means blessings. You know why? Because there's an entire.
Well, it's hard to
Oh.
I'm sorry.
I was wondering what you were looking at.
It was bothering me the whole time.
You should have said something. We would have gotten
No
even
problem,
closer.
guys.
I would've
So-
told Alex.
No, that's fine. So there's an entire book of the Talmud that's primarily dealing with blessings. And in fact, the laws of prayer, like you said, Miriam, there's an overlap. The laws of prayer are also included in the book called Brachos.
Okay.
So they are linked together. They are related.
Okay, so I have another question.
Go ahead.
Since I guess, okay, I'm not. Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna try and figure out how to ask this question,
Okay.
but let's continue. I'm sorry. I guess I'm gonna ask.
Go ahead,
why is
ask.
Shema not a blessing but a prayer when it implies so many things?
I think because the Shema is probably more of an affirmation of belief versus prayer is more of like an action of faith. It means it's like more of a mitzvah versus a... Well, I would say one is more intellectual and one is more designed to... one's like an intellectual affirmation of all the principles of Jewish faith and practice. And one of them is just more general. And that's why... And blessings are very specific. That's why there's so many different kinds of blessings. That's probably the simple answer. So...
There's so many, I guess there's so many things to be thankful for in the Shema. If you just read it, obviously, but I still don't, I guess, understand.
Yeah, so you mentioned thankful, so you already given me an answer. So you're saying the reason why we bless is because we're thankful.
I mean, that's not the reason, but it's in there. It's like the reason I went to go get some ice cream because maybe other people were going with me, but I'm still glad I have it. You know, kind of like fulfills multiple things.
So you want to change the Shema and say a blessing?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
so
why can't it be both? guess
I
that's the
think if we
question.
unpack the Shema, we'll find that a lot of things that are part of the Shema are blessings on their own right. Like when you affix a mezuzah is part of the Shema. We mentioned it twice in the Shema. When you affix a mezuzah, there's a mezuzah blessing. When you wear tefillin, there's a tefillin blessing. When you study Torah, there's a Torah blessing. You know, there's a lot of isolated blessings that are incorporated in the Shema in the actual activity of the activities that are mentioned in the Shema. So I don't think it's that distance. You know, you ask the question, hey, in the end of the Shema, we talk about living in Israel. Well, how come there's no blessing for living in Israel?
So yeah, I don't know.
You know, why don't we make a blessing for that? Or maybe if we lived in Israel, we should make every more we should make a special blessing of Israel. It's a good question. By the way, there's an entire section of Jewish scholarship asking the questions on the mitzvahs that we don't say, on the mitzvahs that we do not say blessings on. Why don't we say a blessing on that mitzvah?
What?
There's an entire realm of scholarship dedicated to this question: why certain mitzvahs have a blessing that precedes it, and certain mitzvahs do not have a blessing that precedes it. When you sit in a sukkah, you make the blessing on the sukkah. When you shake a lulav, you make the blessing on the lulav. Right. When you light the candles for Shabbat or for Hanukkah, you make the blessing, right? When you live in Israel, which is a mitzvah, we do not make a blessing. Why not? When you give charity, you make a blessing? Is giving charity a mitzvah?
Yeah.
Why don't we make a blessing on charity? Well, maybe it might be a little awkward. Like the poor man is like,
Because you're not supposed to tell.
yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. When you, this might be a little weird, but the question was asked, I know, at the very first mitzvah of the Torah, be fruitful and multiply. Where's the blessing for that?
What is the blessing?
Well, the question is, well, when would you actually make the blessing?
Oh, well. When do you find out?
Maybe. Well, in truth, there is... but there's a blessing for any time something good happens to you. There's a blessing that we make. If we're saved from danger, there's a blessing we make. If something bad happens to us, a relative dies, there's a blessing we say for that as well. God forbid someone loses a parent, or God forbid a child, or something like that. Something really terrible happens. There's a special blessing, Baruch Atah Hashem Dayan Ha'emet, which means that God is the righteous, just judge. So we're kind of accepting God's decision, even though it's obviously painful. So blessings are really dominant part of our. It's not limited to. We think of blessings in terms of eating. It's part of our prayers. It's part of our life. Our life. It's a certain mode, I think, of behavior that we do as Jews. So I want to dig into this idea and find some insights and see how prayers really can play a crucial role in the meteoric spiritual growth can result from analysis of prayers and the meaning behind it, and maybe that would propel us.
Say a prayer, right?
Prayer, blessings.
What? A say a blessing. So if you perform like tefillin, which has blessings in it.
Yeah, that's a blessing. The blessing is part of is
the blessing that you say to do the tefillin, I guess, is what you're counting.
Yeah, that's
Not
what I'm talking
the
about.
blessing that's in the actual.
No. The
filling
blessing
itself.
of putting on the filling on, the blessing of putting on tzitzis on, the blessing of erecting a mezuzah, fixing a mezuzah, the blessing.
What about writing a blessing? Does that count?
No, there's something we say. Interesting, we say it.
We don't really.
You could write it if you want, but that's not
You have to
that's
say
not
it,
the
is
mode,
what I meant.
right? And if you guys remember, a few weeks ago we talked about the idea of speech.
Speaking, right?
And how speech is a really powerful medium that we have because it involves us in our totality with our body and our soul. Because speech is the touch point of body and soul. It's an activity that your body does, but it's not entirely physical, and your soul does, but it's not entirely spiritual. So maybe we say that blessings too have to be enveloping of our totality. Let me find you guys something disturbing that the Talmud says. 3 things back to back to back. The rabbis taught it's forbidden for a person to take pleasure from this world without a blessing. And the person who benefits from the world, this world, without blessing, it's as if they encroached on the holy. Which is a way of saying as if there was something that was sacrosanct and they defiled it. Something's holy and they defiled it. That's number 1. Number 2, same Talmud. This is in Brachos 35a, the bottom. Rabbi Levi asks a question, and he brings 2 verses. One verse says that the Almighty owns the entire world, the earth and everything above it, and everything that fills it. That's one verse. And the other verse says that the heavens are for God, and the land, the earth, is for us, is for man. So the verses are in conflict. One verse says that the earth belongs to God. Another verse says that the earth belongs to us. Which one is it?
You didn't say the third thing again because it didn't say it belongs to us. It says
It's for
in
us.
possession.
for us.
No. Hashemayim Shalom Hashem. The heavens are for God, and the earth God gave to us. That's it. Va'aretz natan livnei adam. The earth was given to man.
I thought it was only in our possession, not actually.
Yeah, we don't own it.
We don't own
Oh,
it.
we
we're
don't
just
own
here.
it, or it says it's given to us.
It's
Right.
given, yeah.
But we don't own it.
Well, maybe we don't own it, but it's given to us. Maybe we do own it. Who says we don't own it? We own it.
Because we eventually die.
We'll eventually die, so, but, it's still ours. It's collective.
It's
It belongs to
in our
humanity,
possession, yeah.
so to speak. But the other verse says that the earth belongs to God. Well, which one is it?
Oh.
But the problem is we have 2 verses. So how can it be both?
So it's not possession because we made the deal. Adam and Eve
Okay.
made the deal.
What deal?
And
The New Deal?
that's before I was born.
No, I agree. I mean,
Yeah, that
I
we were
agree.
going to be partners with God, and so it would be in our possession, but it still has to be maintained by God. Otherwise, it wouldn't exist at all.
So, this is what the Talmud says. The Talmud says both of them are true, like what you guys are saying. And I think it says something very similar to what you're saying. It says what the difference is that when it talks about the land belonging to God, that's before man says a blessing. But once man says a blessing, then he owns this world. So you take an apple. Whose apple is it? It's God's apple. You make a blessing, it's your apple. So what this is telling us is that blessings are the means with which humans acquire that belongs to God. For example, here is an example. We have a description of our life experience on this planet from Rabbi Israel Salanter. Who is Rabbi Israel Salanter? He's the most important rabbinic figure of the 19th century, I would argue. The most important one. And he says like this, he says, this world is like a very fancy hotel. This world's like. You go to your hotel room. You're like, oh, there's a fridge there, right? So what do you open the fridge? Oh, it's stocked with all the goodies, right? So what do? You start taking like, oh, this is a mini bar. Right? You open things up. You start drinking. You get, oh, there's cookies here. Great. You know. Oh, there's a menu. Let's order room service. You order your room service. You want some fancy food and really expensive drinks. And you got great. It's fantastic. And you spend a week in the hotel and you check out. What happens when you check out? They're like, sir, ma'am, you have a bill of $3,300. What? Where'd that come from? Well, that little vial of whiskey that you drank was actually $62. And a bottle of water, that's $48. Everything's outrageously priced.
Right.
Because that's what this world is. This is the world where the Almighty says, it's all yours. Go take it. It's yours. Enjoy whatever you want. And you live your life and you're enjoying. It's a really wonderful world. The Almighty gives us lots of pleasures that are here for our taking. Lots of delicious food, lots of wonderful scenery, lots of entertainment, lots of exciting things, And we partake, and we partake, and we partake, and we partake, and then we die. And what happens when we die? That's when we leave the hotel. And we get a bill. You're like, whoa, why is it so expensive? That's what this world's about. This world is not about partaking in the physical. It's about it's about investing in our spiritual lives, and whatever we do and partake in the physical, that comes at a heavy cost.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Your first Talmudic statement sounded like it was in conflict with your not every mitzvah has a blessing. So if you take pleasure in a mitzvah, then are you defiling what God has said?
If you take pleasure in mitzvah,
So
does that make a blessing?
Yeah, your first said if you take pleasure in the physical world without doing a blessing, then you defile God. Is that what you said? I don't know if it's
You defile God. You profane that is holy.
You profane that is what is holy.
That is holy.
So
That's right.
if I'm taking pleasure in doing a mitzvah, but there's no blessing for that mitzvah, how's that work?
So, well, if you listen carefully, the verse doesn't say if you partake in any pleasurable thing. It says if you partake for any pleasurable thing in this world. It's referring to material stuff.
Yeah.
Material, physical stuff.
Okay.
So you're saying, hey, if I enjoy spiritual stuff in this world, well, it's not what it's disgusting.
Let's take a mixture. Charity is material and spiritual.
Well, it's spiritual for you. It's material for the guy you're benefiting, or gal.
So if you're
Or
saying
organization.
charity, there's a blessing.
No, there isn't. That's the question.
That's
Why?
That's what I'm getting at. So there's no blessing, but I'm taking pleasure in that.
Yeah, but what kind of pleasure is that? That's the pleasure of a mitzvah, not the pleasure. What this verse is saying, if you partake from this world, means from the physical world, from the material world, without a blessing, without recognizing that God gave it to you, then it's as if you're profaning that that's holy. So let me finish the point. Let me finish the point.
Just one question.
Go ahead.
Real quick, and then I'll let you go.
Go ahead.
So just taking that charity thing one step further, as an example.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I gave charity, but I'm only giving charity to get my name on the big synagogue, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking pleasure in doing that because I'm getting rewarded for it.
I agree that it's possible for someone to offset the spiritual accomplishments of their mitzvahs if they get a fringe physical benefit as a kickback.
But they're still doing
And
a mitzvah.
Maimonides writes that. Maimonides says sometimes, if someone tries to evoke a physical kickback for a mitzvah, that diminishes the power of the mitzvah and diminishes the spiritual nature of the mitzvah.
Okay, I hate to transgress, but I'm just going back to
Go
what
ahead.
a previous lesson.
Go ahead.
We try to align our Yitzhara, right, with our, with the goodness.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes in aligning that, you're physical and you're doing a physical pleasure.
Right, but that is not a physical pleasure on its own. It means what you're doing that. So you're pointing to the grand insight of Judaism, and that is it's possible for me to make my physical pleasure spiritual, and that's exactly what I was going to say now. Let's say I'm eating the apple, but instead of just gobbling it down, I make a blessing on it. What I do is that I transform that physical pleasure into something holy. So I'm not profaning, I'm in fact elevating. So you're right, it's possible for me to invoke my Yetzer Hara to do a mitzvah, but that Yetzer Hara enjoyment that I'm getting as a side benefit, that's not this world, that's not mundane, that's holy. So it's possible to have everything. Really, it's possible to have everything. It's possible that even our basic sustenance and our physical desires and our pleasures in this world can also be holy. It's possible for two people, they're both in the restaurant, they're both having the same succulent kosher steak, and one's doing a mitzvah, and one's profaning. Because Judaism, well, exactly, well, blessing will be one example. Judaism is going to inject into the physical world, the physical experiences, it's going to inject a spiritual twist. A spiritual spice, so to speak. So when someone makes a blessing, and they're like engaging, it's spiritual ritual almost, for something entirely physical. Like, whoa, what's going on here? I understand if you're in synagogue, if you're fasting, if you're doing something ascetic, something religious, then you make a blessing. Why are you making a blessing for the steak? Well, the answer is, herein lies the grand insight of Judaism. Is that our entire lives has to be a life of growth, of transcendence. We can't just say, oh, you know what? I have one day a week for my soul. I'll do it on Saturday. The rest of the week, the soul could just wither away. No, of course not. Every hour of every day. Even when I'm doing things that are body dominant, I can inject my soul into that as well. I make the blessing, and suddenly this is a spiritual experience. So I agree that you're right. It's possible for us to align our physical and spiritual lives, and that's a very good thing. It's encouraged. But what happens? Yes, it's physical, but it's holy.
You know, even going back to that steak example.
Easy. I'm hungry. I'm getting hungry.
You know, choosing to go to that kosher steak place.
Genesis?
I haven't been there, and I still want to go there.
Oh, it's amazing.
You've been? Okay, we're getting off. But even choosing to go there,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's I would still say is elevating what you're doing instead of going to.
So
wherever.
for sure, when we eat kosher food, the food's holier as well. Absolutely. 100%.
This adds that layer, an extra.
Oh yeah,
elevation.
Exactly. So let's finish the example here of Rabbi Salanter. So he says that whatever we partake in this world, the physical elements of this world, we're going to have to pay for it. How do we avoid having to pay a huge fine at the end of our hotel stay? A few ways. So one example he gives is, who's the one guy who goes to the hotel and partakes whatever he wants, but doesn't need to pay a dime when they leave?
Who's?
Well, not the owner. We don't know. We can't own the hotel.
Wait, say
Who is the one guest that goes to the hotel and doesn't need to pay a shekel?
The frequent one, the frequent?
Freedom flyer? Well, he pays it in the aggregate, right?
The
Pay as you go.
president?
You pay as you go.
No, the president should pay.
Pay as you go.
Pay as you go.
Who pays you go? The one person that
You get
goes to
discount.
a hotel.
Goes to the
doesn't have to
hotel.
pay.
That goes to the hotel.
And it's a person.
It's a person. If a person goes to the hotel and doesn't pay anything, it's the guy who's going to go ahead.
It's the same, Burr.
Oh,
Oh,
why is that?
I'm in a hotel every other week and I don't pay for it.
Why not?
your company pays for it, though.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, actually, a client pays for it, but yes, same difference.
So what does that mean? That means that, and I'll give you even a better example. Who's the guy that doesn't even pay parking tickets? The diplomats. Like, imagine you're an ambassador for your country. You're an ambassador for your country, and you're on the trip, right? And you have a really long hotel stay and lots of you pay. Right? You don't pay for anything. If we are God's ambassadors, He foots the bill for us. So if we take this world and say, you know what, we know what our mission is going to be. We're going to be God's representatives in the world, which, by the way, is the responsibility of the Jewish people to be God's people, to be the chosen people. Chosen people of what? Of God.
Yeah.
If we are doing our job as Jews, we don't have to worry about what we're taking to the minibar. We partake in the minibar as much as we want.
Huh?
Enjoy. We don't have to withhold.
The kosher
Many things.
neighbor.
That doesn't apply at the Hilton.
China Bach is kosher.
What's that?
Life is good. China Bach is kosher. Life is good.
China box?
Huh?
Huh?
China
Shiner.
bought.
Oh, China box.
Oh, it's beer.
Life. It's beer.
Yeah. Another and this time, what's the Talmud saying? The world belongs to God. Until we make a blessing, then it's ours. I think perhaps what that means is kind of similar. What it's saying is that it starts off. The way it starts off is that the minibars, it's God's. It's really expensive. We're paying at a much higher rate. It's like, it's like when there's a really bad exchange rate, really weak dollar, and you're paying in euros. Imagine the minibar belongs to God, so it's really distant, right? And it's really expensive. The dollars are really worthless. But then you say, "Oh, I'm going to make a blessing." Well, who's it then? Who does it belong to then? Well, then it's ours. Well, if it's ours, eat as much as you want.
I don't
Enjoy
like
as much as you want.
Don't like it.
Why not?
I can say blessing over anything, and it's mine.
Go ahead. Like what?
Say blessing over the house. And it's my house.
Well, because it's not your house. The only works to take stuff from God. You can't take it from the bank.
Oh, say I haven't paid off, and I say, oh, I'm going to say blessing over my house. And it's mine?
What do you mean it's yours?
No, it's still not mine. It's,
It's in your possession.
it's in my possession, but it's still not mine.
It's yours.
My
while you're
accomplishment.
alive.
Let's
It's
say
your
even my
possession.
accomplishments. I say blessing over my accomplishments. I didn't achieve my accomplishments.
Why not?
God did.
No, you did. Well, I'm saying, according to your model, then what's our role? God allows us to do things, of course,
He
and we
allows
couldn't
us.
do it without with the vitality that God's giving us. But when we accomplish things, we accomplish them.
Okay, so
Everything that Moshe accomplished, everything that Abraham accomplished, everything that the people that have transformed the world, it was theirs. They had the free will to do it. Now, the Almighty obviously allowed them the free will, which is the greatest gift, to have the free will, and made the world and gave them the opportunities. Of course, every breath that we take, we have to thank the Almighty. Every time we breathe, it's the Almighty's giving us free air.
let me give you an example of what I'm thinking, and I may be way off topic. But Nebuchadnezzar, right? In my favorite book, Danielle, that's the only one I read. He said, "Look what I did," and then the Lord said, then he made him go insane or
Right.
whatever.
So I think there's a difference.
That's an accomplishment.
I agree. But I think it's a subtle point here that we have to kind of walk a fine line. There's a difference between saying, look what I did, and disregarding God
Right.
versus recognizing the role that we're able to accomplish. Because remember, what happens if someone says, look, God will take care of it. Let me lie down on the couch and do nothing, right? That's very dangerous.
Look what we did.
Right.
Huh?
We did. Look what we did.
Right, and that's also dangerous because you get conceited, right? And you think you have all the power.
But you know what you're getting thanks. You're acknowledging.
Right, so when you acknowledge God, yet you realize that it's up to you to do it,
Right, exactly.
right,
Take ownership.
that's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
So then producing children would then fall into the sweet spot. Because you have to thank God that He allowed you to produce these children, but the children couldn't come in without you.
Well, we even say that. The Talmud even goes on to say that the children, or every human, is a product of the parents, but also God.
So,
So it's a
do they
convergence of
belong-
both. That's
but
right.
do they belong to God?
Well, the fact that our souls don't belong to us. So it means, for example, you might say, hey, what I own, correct? Well, let's say I own an iPad, right? I do, in fact, own an iPad. And I say, you know what? I'm not interested in it, and I just leave it in a coffee shop and forget about it, right? That's called Aveda Midas in Talmudic lingo, which means it's a lost object, but that was deliberately lost by the owner. Who's the owner? Me. And what did I do? I deliberately lost it. Anyone wants to take it. It becomes ownerless. Because I own it, the Torah recognized my ownership. Right? We can own things. Therefore, I could say I don't want to own it. I could sell it if I want to. And if I want to get this owner. I could make it lost, and it's lost, and it's in my hands to do that. Now, what about my own life? Do I own my life or not? If I own my life, well, then just like I can lose my item willingly, I can lose my life willingly.
Not allowed to.
But we're not allowed to. Why not? The reason why is because we do not own our life. There's some verses in Scripture that talk about the fact that our souls, we are guardians of our souls for God. So the Almighty owns us.
You take
Right. He deposited it within us.
But we don't also own the land either.
Who says we don't own the land?
It's in our possession.
It's in your possession to take care of.
What about Shemitot and all that?
Well, so Shemitah is reminding us of the fact that we still own the land. Could you sell land? Of course you could sell land. Can you decide to
You
plant?
can sell land, but it goes back to the original.
True. But that's only in Israel. So, that's only in Israel. If you own your house, could you decide to knock it down and build something else? Yes, because you own it. Can you decide to, in the back, plant? I don't know what the rules here, the deed restrictions are. But if you own a farm somewhere, can you plant apricots if you want, or apricots? Big argument. Is it apricots or apricots?
Sounds good.
Well, in New York, it's apricots. But
As long as you don't say a pecan, we're good.
Yeah.
pecan as opposed to
That's something
pecan.
you're going to use in the backyard.
Come.
Pecan?
I had no idea what you were talking about. I got it.
Come on, reel you in.
A pecan.
Like a pea in a can.
A
Yeah.
pecan
I
is
never
something
heard
you
that
use in the
before.
backyard. A pecan is something you eat.
Okay.
You've
I'm
never
not
heard
going
it-
to.
You've never heard it pronounced the other way.
No, I pecan or pecan? I think I've heard of pecan. Unfortunately, I think I've heard that.
I think I've heard that too. Isn't that how
I
they
think it
say
might be regional. Remember, I grew up in
Yes,
New
that's
York.
Yeah.
Yes.
They say pecan.
Pecan
Down
pie.
here, it's something you use in the
A
backyard.
pecan pie.
I never,
Pecan pie.
I never even noticed that.
Pecan pie.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
You're welcome. It's
Well, let's go
fine.
back.
So,
Let's
but
go back.
apricots. So, can I choose to plant that? Why? It's mine. It's mine. Now, if I forget God and I tout or I assign.
Not me.
That's hers.
Sorry.
See,
If I take all the credit for my accomplishments and forget about God, well, that's a problem. That's what we call conceit or arrogance.
I just want to
Gava.
make sure I understand because you're blowing my mind. This is the first time I ever heard this. You're saying that we own the land.
Haaretz natan livnei adam. The earth was given to us. Yes. And you know what? I would say the Torah is ours as well. Lo bashamayim. The Torah is not in the heavens. It's our Torah.
But we own the land.
We own the land. And even Shemitah, right? Shemitah doesn't mean we don't own the land. It means we can't work the land.
Jubilee.
Jubilee means it goes back to the original owner, but it doesn't mean it goes back, it becomes ownerless, right? It means that in Israel, your sliver of land that belongs to your family is your legacy, is your family's heritage
Yeah.
forever. So even if you sell it, you only sell it for a little bit, right? For a couple of years, right? Maximum 50 years. But it
70
doesn't,
years, right?
it's 50 years.
49 years, yeah.
Right, but that doesn't mean you don't own the land. The family owns the land. You can sell it if you want, but even the sale is temporary. Why is this such a surprise to you?
Because I've always learned, and maybe I learned incorrectly, that the land is not ours, it's God's.
You tell me. It's a verse in Scripture.
It's not
Haaretz
possession,
l'san.
but it wouldn't exist without God.
Of course, it wouldn't exist without God. That's the point. We know, of course, nothing would exist without God. Right? But is my brain my brain? Is my choices my choices? Can I do choices without God? Of course not. But they're my choices. And they're not God's choices.
So wait, you can't do choices
Oh
No.
without the interference of God,
Not the interference, the allowance.
the allowance of God.
That's right.
Then
But-
and our lives belong to God.
Well, our souls means
Our
we
souls.
we're not arbiters of our souls. We cannot decide. We don't own our souls. We own our decisions, but not our souls.
Okay, but then God allows the decisions that we make.
Oh yeah,
Then
that's the design.
okay, but then taking your life is then in accordance. to
Well,
what
it's a
God
decision.
wants.
No, that's right. It means God wants us to have the decision to take our own lives. If
But you can't make a decision.
no,
without-
no. Means God wants us to. God allows us to do whatever we want. We could commit whatever atrocities we want. Not whatever atrocities, but the idea of humans committing atrocities is because the Almighty allows such things to happen. Why? Because man can make their own choices.
Okay,
So I can make choices that are bad choices.
and He allows you to make them.
That's right. So it means if someone jumps off the building, they are choosing A, to jump off a building and kill themselves, and B, to go against what God told us, that our lives are not ours, thus we have no right to voluntarily lose our lives.
But then how do we know it wasn't in His plan all along?
Why would it be in His plan all along?
He wants you back early.
Well, then if He
For
wants
some
back
other
early, let Him come take it.
So then it's
Come get
not-
it. You want it? Come get it. Right? So you'll say, hey, no, because we have control over our destiny. Now, not necessarily we can say, whatever. We're limited to what our choices are going to be, right? At any given point in time. But in our choices that we're granted, those choices are ours. Now, we can choose the arena of our free will, but in whatever arena the Almighty places us, we could choose which way we want to go.
Okay.
So you're right. So we are kind of limited. We're limited because the Almighty is going to set up a situation with which we'll have the free will choices. But the choices themselves, those are ours.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Tell my wife I made sense finally.
Well, you still have to fit back out the door, so don't fluff the peacock feathers too much.
That's right.
Did you tell him to be a peacock?
He was being a peacock, and I told him
I think
he
it's-
has to lock out the door.
I
That's
think
only
it's,
applicable to men, right?
so. It's a peacock, but it's a pecan. Noted.
And a peacock.
Noted. Duly noted.
Where in Deuteronomy did you say?
Which word? Which
That we
word?
own the land?
I didn't know there were
Um,
multiple pronunciations for a peacock.
I just wanted to see the context. Of what
They're
you
not.
said.
I will find it for you.
We're guineas.
Here.
No.
You get a little break.
I'm just trying to find that verse.
This one in here.
You already did. Leave my mind away.
It's
Am I right?
frostbite. Yes.
Am I right?
Okay. I don't think it's in Deuteronomy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said earlier Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy was the other verse that I quoted. The first verse. Where is it?
Here's the inheritance of the land. This is in Numbers.
It is in.
Oh, it's a Lego line.
Okay, it is in Psalms 115. 115. Psalms. 5 books of Moses. Give me Psalms. Give me the Tanakh.
It could be 50. I'm sorry.
Mom, really? I'm not even 50.
Are you hot too?
Yes. Why do you think I'm sweating?
No, thank you.
Are you really cold?
It's far from here.
She's not as well insulated as
Here we go.
Here,
I also work outside all day, so my version of
drink this.
I have
we-
to work tomorrow.
So do I. I gotta be at 5.
Okay, ready?
My version of cold is screwed. So hot tea.
It's hot.
And this is
Hot
the.
tea for your stomach.
This is 115 in the book of Psalms, verse 16. As for the heavens are Hashem's, but the earth He has given to mankind.
So how does the Psalms relate to the Torah? The 5 books.
Well, it doesn't give us mitzvahs. We have no mitzvahs
don't
from the.
close it.
I have it over here.
Okay.
Page 1539.
1539.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to read the context.
That's all we can do. There you go. So it's but the Talmud is obviously under the impression that I think is unquestioned that what the Psalms says is certainly in line with what Judaism believes. It's not telling us a mitzvah, but it's telling us perspective. And the perspective is that the heavens are for the Almighty, and the earth is for us. This is our domain.
So it doesn't say specifically in the Torah.
Well,
How does the Psalms relate to the Torah? I'm not really.
it's part of
clear.
what's called the Jewish Bible or the Tanakh.
Right. I know there's like the prophets and the
Have you
writings.
never read any of the Psalms?
No, my
Really
Jewish
good
knowledge is down
Okay,
here.
no, my Jewish knowledge is below yours. But I've
Shabbos
still
we
read
read
all of the
some of them.
Psalms.
I have not.
He's read Psalm of the Psalms.
You read the
Is that funny?
Psalms?
Not funny?
You just need to go sit down and read them because they're really entertaining. The
Yeah,
stories
so
that they
Psalms
tell.
is a collection
The stories.
of writings
But
that are prayers. A lot of them
that's
are
like
prayers.
Jonah and
Well, the primary author of Psalms is King David.
is that the Tehillim?
Tehillim is Psalms, same thing. Psalms is English for
Okay,
Tehillim.
then I have read all of it. I've read the Tehillim, but I don't remember every song in there.
I'm not saying I remember every one, but I have read it.
Okay.
Okay, then I yes, I've read the Psalms.
Well, I wasn't.
She's the one that's questioning you.
Hey, just leave.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Poor guy sitting over there in the corner.
then I've also
Give a
read
guilt
every
trip.
book in the Christian Bible too.
I haven't even read every book that's Jewish, so I'm starting from.
Then what's my major?
I don't know. Remember, it's like
Religious studies.
I actually didn't know that. I thought you
Yes,
were
my
IT girl.
I am, but my major is in religious studies, and my favorite professor was a biblical scholar. So I've taken
Don't make
all
him
the biblical
blush.
courses.
Don't make me blush.
I'm not challenging. I don't challenge on Judah.
No, she wish you had rabbinical.
No, I thought you
She
said.
did in her school. She did.
I thought you
I
said
wish
his
I did.
favorite teacher was was a biblical scholar. Never mind. All right.
And the last statement of the Talmud is, I think, the most surprising. Talmud says if someone benefits from this world without a blessing, it's as if they steal from God.
This is what you're talking about, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Tehillim.
I got it in New York. It was great.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. You're supposed to read like where's your tradition? You read your age minus 1, and your
Well, some
and then
people
the-
read it every month. Like my mother finishes it every month, but she's a really special woman. In the prayers, incorporated a lot of them in the prayers. There's a really nice long one, chapter 119. It's got 176 verses in the chapter. It's the longest chapter in all of the Jewish Bible, 176 verses. Pretty cool. And in fact, the shortest chapter in the Jewish Bible is, I think, 117. So it's only 2 chapters separate the longest and the shortest chapters of the Jewish Bible. But this teaching of the Talmud is very perplexing. It says, when someone eats, enjoys, partakes in this world without a blessing, it's as if they steal from God. Okay, that makes sense. That's in line with what they said earlier. And from the Jewish people. And the question is why? Let's say I eat something but I don't make a blessing, okay, I'm stealing from God. It belongs to God until I make a blessing, now it's mine. But why is it considered as if I steal from the Jewish people? How are they involved? I'm minding my own business in my house, no one's around, I have the food or the pleasure that I want to partake in, I don't make the blessing, I steal from God. Okay. Why am I stealing from the Jewish people?
Well, when we were at Israel's house, we talked about collective punishment. Well, it could be part of that.
So say if I get punished for not making the blessing, everyone else suffers. Yeah, I think it's probably a simple answer. But I think we could also say, and I found some nice sources for this as well, that when I make a blessing, what that does is it creates a pipeline with which the Almighty is going to give the world goodness, endow the world with blessing. So essentially, the blessing is a way to benefit everyone. And when the Jewish people make blessings, it affects everyone, right? So if I make a blessing, it affects the entire nation, even the entire world. How do we lobby God? It's about lobbyists and how valuable they are. You know, how much companies and special interests invest in their lobbies because they are the ones who can affect change, in legislative change. How do we lobby God? Well, so prayer is a very effective method. That's why we pray. Prayer is such a central part of Judaism. But we could have also a very far-reaching effect on the goodness and the influence that the Almighty is going to benefit the world with our blessings. Every blessing is another pipeline of goodness from the Almighty. It's a connection, it's a touch point where it's a point of recognition of God, and therefore it inspires or it brings about a rush of godly influence in a positive way in the world. So in essence, we could have, when we're making blessings, we are enabling the world to benefit at large. That's why if I don't make a blessing, well, I'm stealing. I'm stealing for the whole people, because the people lose out collectively, because now there's less blessing to us at large as well. And I think perhaps more than anything else, I think when we make a blessing, we become alive. We become mindful. We become aware of that we're doing. The biggest problem that we have in life, I think, is the fact that we can live our entire life without ever stopping and thinking, stopping and examining, asking questions, or just noticing. We can live a life mindlessly. That's very sad. And when we're mindless, what don't we see? We don't see God. We don't see our fellow man. We don't see ourselves even. We don't see our family. And you know, we're all busy. Obviously, we're busy.
Routine and
There's routine and there's busy, and you know, this. You have your job and you have your commute and you have, you know, the radio and you got the television. That's great distractions, right? We can live our life mindlessly.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Some of the things that you're saying are just killers.
The good way or bad way?
Great.
Okay.
So what if you say a blessing but it's incorrect? But you have intentions of it being correct.
So, for example,
Is it better to say a blessing or not?
So, like what you're saying is,
Like the
say I
steak.
have a piece of
This,
bread.
yeah, the bread
I have
or
a
the
piece
steak.
of bread, and I know it says grain of the earth, but instead I say, "Praise are you, Lord God, thank you for this bread." Is it still considered?
I don't know if it would still be a blessing, but I think it's easy enough to learn the blessing. It's like hamotzi. Who doesn't know the hamotzi?
But I'm just,
Well, the
sometimes
easy
it gets a little
ones, like
complicated.
the rainbow or lightning and thunder, things like that. That
You
are
know what? I'll tell you off the bat.
mysterious.
I don't remember the exact thing that we say for rainbow. It's like zocher abris, something like that. Naman rebriso zocher abris. I don't remember the exact words for it. I remember the words for lightning and thunder. Osim asabricious and shekochog v'osam aleolam. But these are the uncommon ones. These are the.
But the common
But
ones.
even the common ones can get complicated.
Why is that?
you're
Because
tired or you just
No, but it's
because maybe you're not as knowledgeable. Whatever the case may be.
okay. So then let's get knowledgeable. I think we could right now. I actually had this printed out. I didn't bring it here, but I made a printout of all the 6 categories of foods and the 6 blessings. and you can learn them in 20 minutes.
Like, where
totally proficient.
where it's a meal or a snack or whatever.
Yeah,
You
and
get
sometimes
advanced.
I'll get
What if I have
between Mizonos and
hamotzi,
no, not Hamotzi, Mizonos, and there's another one that's from
ha'adama?
Hadama, yeah.
Right, so mizonos are baked. Simple.
But
If
is
you're
it
giving
beer?
thanks, but if you're acknowledging and then you get them
My
next or
yeah, but going to this simple 10. If you don't know but you make it a 10, is that good enough?
Yeah, but the question is, do you want to live the life of saying, "Oh, I'll just always do that is okay because I'll never learn the blessings."
So
It's-
Why don't you just
why
learn the
does
blessings?
bread make it not okay, but grain of the earth make it okay?
What do you mean?
Is the question. Like if I say the Hamotzi, saying bread of the earth instead of just saying bread. I don't know.
Well, so then we can learn about the blessings themselves and why were these exact words chosen for the wordings of the blessing. But either way, it's not so hard to learn.
I'm just asking.
So I'm saying, if someone doesn't know the blessings, they want to say the blessings, and they have food right now, and they've no one to ask what the correct blessing is, I think that's probably fine. However, after they eat their fill, go online, or go to the rabbi, or go to the book, and learn it. It's so easy. It's too easy to not be proficient in blessings.
what happens if it just comes down to like a pronunciation issue?
It's fine.
Well,
There's different pronunciations. I say pecan, you say pecan. It's still the same thing.
Still wrong.
Yeah.
Huh?
Down, still right down.
oh, it's on too hot.
She's like freezing it out.
Oh no, I worked out and my legs are jerking,
Oh.
so I'm standing because it feels better than sitting. No, I'm good.
No,
Thank you.
I guess, Rabbi, my point being is, some people find calculus easy, and some people don't. You have your strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, but we have the prayers
I mean,
that are
if you
so
had-
long and so difficult to say, and that you don't have a problem with. Yet the blessings that in their totality is 50 words, all 6 blessings. You put them together. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. So 6 words that are the same amongst all of them. Motzi lechem min haaretz, borei pri hadafen, borei pri hadam. It's 3
Yeah, so
words.
that-
It's not hard to memory. It's not hard to memorize. No. Don't you think?
Sometimes, but then sometimes you're just lacking the word. Because I've been there, and you get to the end of the prayer and you're like,
Remember, we're not scholars.
And the rest.
Yeah, but
I mean,
I know we're
I'm
not
asking
scholars,
for-
but
But the intention is.
these is
the
3
intention
words.
is-
Baruch atah Hashem melech haolam, borei pri
Yeah.
hadafen. How hard was that?
wine.
Right? Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. That's the 4 words.
But it's, I guess it's those
Borei
two that I
minei
always-
mizonos, borei pri ha'etz, borei pri ha'adama,
Wait, Hayitz and Hadama?
shahakrol niheh b'dvaro. So all of them are just 3 words, besides for Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. 3 words!
Yeah, but I have to keep
3
it
times
separated.
5 is 15. Plus 4. There's 19 words you guys need to remember.
But they each have different intentions.
Miriam, just blame it on Ben 2.0 canceling the Hebrew lessons.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well,
We were learning
We
Hebrew.
were learning Hebrew.
and
Ben
And-
2.0 moved.
Yeah. Moved. And I'm
So
still
we're not
trying to
learning
learn
Hebrew
So
anymore.
it's like I'm having trouble to know if I'm learning it right. A, B, it was easier with the teacher, like 10 million times easier with the teacher. And C, we're only learning past tense right now. So
So she can only talk in past tense.
She can't have a blessing before the wine.
Yeah.
But she can say thank you.
He looks very entertained.
no,
Welcome to
again.
our world.
I guess I just get those confused because I don't fully understand. Like, okay, obviously, hamotzi is bread. I got that, and hagafen is wine. But I guess everything in the middle,
so you eat a lot of fruits and vegetables?
I do. I'm
Yeah, she's
vegetarian.
Okay.
a tree girl.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's borei pri, which means that the Almighty creates borei,
Okay.
create. Pri means a fruit.
Great.
But there's 2 kinds of fruits. There's vegetables and there's fruits, what we call fruits. Borei pri ha'etz, of the eitz, like eitz ha'chaim. Eitz means a tree.
Okay.
So fruits of the tree is fruits, what we call fruits, and fruits of the ground is vegetables. Ha'adama. Like man is Adam. Adam is made from the earth. Adama. It's the earth.
What about tomato?
Tomato, where's it from?
Earth,
But
but it's never a tree.
So is it from a tree? Even if it's from a bush, it's from a bush. Bush is also from the earth.
so it doesn't go by seeds. It just goes by where it's grown.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what was the baked one?
Borei, same word. Mine mezonos.
And that's also for beer too.
No.
No.
Beer shahakol niyabitvaro. So any all drinks, all you're no meat for you, right? But if you know, for me,
He likes
nihiyebitvaro, that everything is made with the will of God or with the word of God.
Okay.
Simple. Shahakol niyabitvaro. So like anything like eggs, any candies of sorts, processed foods, cheeses. You have a lollipop, it's shahakol niyabitvaro. Any drink besides for wine. Shahakol niyabitvaro. That's it. We learned them all.
If you don't have a wine or grape juice in the blessing, what is substitute can do?
What substitutes for kiddush? Then you would do what's called chamar medina, which means that if someone's stuck without grape juice or wine on Shabbat, they would do chamar medina, which means the beverage of the country, country beverage. Country beverage.
So in Texas,
Any beverage, any beverage, the way it is simplified is any beverage that's respectable. If you have guests coming, you make them a cup of tea, or something that's nice enough that's like a beverage. It's not just a drink. Then that will be okay. So if it could be coffee, it could be tea, it could be iced tea, it could be beer for sure. People drink whiskey for kiddush. People do that even if they do have grape juice and wine.
So you can do it almost on anything.
Well, on anything that's a respectable
too.
beverage. Yeah, you could.
is there anything that's
But then you
not-
wouldn't say Bor Prayer Duffin, you would say Bor Shakol Torah. So, I had collected like about 10 more reasons why we say blessings. And different variety of blessings, and how blessings help us have faith. What happens when someone makes a blessing? I hold the tomato, right, either one, or both, one in each hand, and I say the blessing. I say, Baruch atah Hashem Yom HaCholam, Borei Pri Adama. What I'm saying is, I'm acknowledging that the Almighty is involved in our lives. I'm saying that this came from the Almighty. Suddenly, eating a tomato is an exercise of faith. Suddenly, my worlds are intersecting. My physical and my spiritual world are intersecting. That's what a blessing is. And it's a reminder of faith. And not only that, it's practical faith. Because when we think about God and we think of an idea that's out there in the cosmos, that's what we think. When we take something that we're ingesting and we invoke the idea of God into our earthly experience, it makes it more real with us. So if someone just had blessings, they could get not only intellectual faith, but practical faith as well. When we live a life, right, and it's very, like we said, you go through a lot of things, and we unfortunately tend to not be so mindful about everything that happens. And then every time we enjoy something, every glass of water, every meal, every fruit or vegetable that we ingest in, and we stop and we acknowledge, we stop for a second, we think about how wonderful life is and how you drop a seed in the ground and before you know it, you have a tree full of apples, and then you eat the apples, delicious, and you get a coupon for another seed. Like, that's mind-boggling. I haven't yet met anyone who's going to explain to me how exactly does Earth turn into apples. Do you have any idea how that actually works? How does it work? Anyone have an idea?
Yeah, I think this is
You try to chew soil. It's not that good.
No, I wouldn't suggest it.
You wouldn't suggest it. Yet there's some miracle that happens, and suddenly we have wheat and we have bread, and that sustains us. Where does it come from? It's a gift from the Almighty. And we think about how lucky we are
The nourishment.
that we have so much, and that brings it enlivens us. You know, we could really we think about that. If we think about the fact that the Almighty is giving us wheat and we have bread from the Almighty, that is a more just enriched experience. And we could be happy in our life. If all we have was blessings, we could be happy in life. Joyous every day. All we have is blessings. We have faith, and we can be happy. Why? Because I'm thinking about that. Like, the Almighty gives me so much. There's blessings we say in the morning. She'asa li kol tzarki, which is one of the morning blessings. That God made for me everything that I need. Everything that I need, the Almighty prepares for me. What could be possibly more joyous than that? So, with blessings, we have faith, we have practical faith, we have mindfulness, we have joy, we have happiness. We inject our spiritual twist on everything in our physical life. I heard a great story. I don't want to, belabor this point, but someone once said that, a couple nights ago we had this big storm. So you're driving in the storm, and you obviously have your windshield wipers on. And when you put your windshield wipers on, it's, or if you don't have your windshield wipers on, you just see a deluge of water. And then right when you put the windshield wipers on, for that split second, you see a few drops. You see drops. But if you don't have it on, you just see all the water coming down. But once you clear it away, you see the first couple of drops. So someone once said that our life, the Almighty gives us so much blessing, but because we're just, we're overwhelmed with a blessing, we don't realize every single one. But a blessing is like when we wash the windshield, and then we notice this, we notice that, we notice these little bits of joy, of goodness that we have in our lives. So that's that, guys. I'm telling you, I have 9 pages of stuff here with sources and everything. But if you think about the numbers, if we do 100 blessings a day, we'll end up with 36,000 blessings a year. Think about it. How different would our life be a year from today if from now to then we did 36,000 times we recognize God? Think about that. In our lives. How mindful we'd be of everything that we encounter. And how enriched will our experiences be? How developed will our faith have become? It's mind-boggling. And going back to what we started earlier, we say that, what does the Almighty want from us? What is it? Everything that the Almighty wants from us, both for our perfection and for our pleasure, we get with blessings. Here's another example here, just how far this reaches. Tikkun Olam, the world's mission, particularly our nation's mission in this world. What's it about? We spoke about this several times here in this same room. It's about us bringing the idea of God into the world. Now imagine every time I eat something, every time I partake in something, multiple times a day, in the morning and at night, I invoke the name of God. It really becomes alive. Suddenly the idea of God is not an idea that we think about in philosophy class. It's really here, present, around us at all times. Thus, if we want a shortcut to Tikkun Olam, all we got to do is say 100 blessings a day. You got it. 100 blessings a day, you got a shortcut. Who doesn't like shortcuts? I have so much material here. You have no idea, guys. I literally have 9 pages of really tiny letters, in Hebrew, all in Hebrew. I found. I'll give you guys an example here. Huh?
I didn't take that terrible baby.
Because I'm not going to drive you guys too crazy
She
here.
didn't sleep through the night.
Yeah, that happens to
She didn't.
my wife every night.
God bless your wife.
Well, and to me sometimes.
They make mommies young for.
You know what I did? You know what I did last night? I had my son was coughing, really bad dry cough. I'd like take him out and like turn on the shower so the steam helps.
Humidifier.
Huh? You have a humidifier?
Yeah.
No, but you can put them in the
That's
shower,
cool.
then the shower.
Well, I mean, it's
Yeah.
a humidifier effect.
Right, right.
But if you put a humidifier in his room, it'll help.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, help a lot. Like if they have like a stuffy nose, it breaks
Yeah.
better. Like Hannah, she had a cough yesterday too, and I put the you know the ointment, like the
Oh,
baby.
Vicks Vapor Rub?
Yeah, I put in the whole salt on the foot and put the socks. They said it's helpful like with
Cool.
the cough.
You see cough all night though.
Well, it was really bad cough, but I didn't go to school today. Had a little fever also. It's fun. Fun in the Wolby household. You know, we had. Listen to this idea. Let me finish this one crazy idea here. We always assume that as humans we need to eat, and as Jews we need to make blessings on our food. That's right. There are many sources in Jewish philosophy. This should blow your mind. By the way, I think this one should blow your mind. I don't know if it will, but it should. That they say that in fact the opposite is true. What the Almighty really wanted was for us to become great people. And how do you do that? Via blessings. Thus, he said, humans need to eat. So it's not like we need to eat, and therefore, well, how do we eat as Jews? Let's make blessings. As Jews, we need to make blessings. Well, the Almighty says, we'll have to make opportunities for them to have blessings. Let's give them so many different varieties of food, so many different mitzvahs, and thus they'll be able to do the blessings. The blessing is the reason why we eat, not the other way around.
Rewarded. Do blessings and you get rewarded with food.
Pretty mind-boggling. And if you think about all the things that we delineated quickly of what blessing and how it affects a person, it's pretty clear to see how this actually works and how exhaustive of an impact it has on so many different areas of our life, not just spiritual. It's not just, we'll have some spiritual. Our experiences, if we, like, you see people in a restaurant, right? And there's two kinds of people in the restaurant, both ordering the same food. One guy's like, right? Like ingesting it, like just, and then there's the other person who stops and enjoys and like savors. And in life, we have a lot of pleasures. And a blessing makes us savor it. We stop and we think and we recognize. It's a more mindful experience, which is more pleasuresome. Even just physical pleasure is better when you appreciate it, when you note it, when you recognize it. That's what a blessing is. So it's nice that this is not just a way to improve our spiritual lives, but I think it will impact. You see these food shows. I was in a hotel recently, and never anything to watch. We don't have a television in our house. But there's this food show, and this guy, the spiky blonde hair, and
This guy.
and he's like eating the food like this, but he's eating like with his hands, disgusting. But he's also like he's talking about the subtle notes of whatever, and I taste this and I taste that. Like the people that really enjoy food, I'll do you guys another story here. People who really enjoy food, they notice the subtleties. They don't just eat the food and not think about it. This past weekend, my brother who lives in our neighborhood made a bar mitzvah. So we had a big kiddush in shul. And me and my brother had a chalantathon. You know what that is? It's like the traditional food, the cholent that we eat on Shabbos, like a marathon, a chalantathon. It's like a walkathon, a bikeathon, chalantathon. So we each got a pot. We split our ingredients in half, and we say, okay, well, I'm gonna make a cholent, you're gonna make a cholent. See which one comes out better. Fine. So we both made a massive cholent, like we're talking about 20 quarts, enormous pot. And then afterwards, there's a guy in town who's like a chef. So I said to him, I made this one. My brother made that one. Taste them. Get back to us. Which one's better? I thought mine was way better. Well, but they were entirely different. Mine was like spicy and his was sweet. So he said to me, he says, yours was fantastic, but your brother beat you because it was more balanced.
This week. Wow.
I don't think my kids would ever describe food as being balanced. Really? Really? Why? Because that's not the way kids don't appreciate it. They take the totality. They don't look at the subtleties, the nuances. Right?
They appreciate the food for what it is.
No, but for what it is on an unsophisticated level.
Unsophisticated level.
I think a blessing kind of can add to our sophistication of the pleasures that we encounter in the world. So either way, my call to action is that we all should really learn the blessings of the foods. It's 6 blessings. I think if I remember, I will bring next time. I'll bring a printout.
Send them a reminder.
A
I can
printout.
text it to everyone. I got a picture of it.
Yeah. So let's make a printout or something like that, and let's do it. And let's try to. Not we don't do 100 a day. Let's do 10 a day.
Do you have like a little card?
Yeah, I know.
Like a
So-
card
The bathroom
and
card.
open up like a accordion and have all the blessings in it.
Yo, you don't need an accordion. I mean, it fits stuff.
Well, you're right. That's the
No,
blessings.
but-
I sent
But
that
I'm
to you, right?
thinking
You know.
like a
That's fine.
blessing, like for for the
No, but it's
for
so
eat
slow.
drink for eat food.
Hey Ben, if you just
Or
post it
bread,
to the
rice.
Jew group,
Oh,
Shoot, which one?
okay.
post it to the Jew group,
The
and
Jew group.
everyone can get it.
It's all of us. We're good.
All 43 of us that are part of that group.
49.
49, sorry.
So let's not. We don't need to do
No,
100
it is
blessings.
only here
Let's try
with
to
the
do
classic.
10 blessings a day or 10 blessings a week, but really think about what we're doing and try to have a more mindful experience, not just for the spiritual benefits, which are vast, but also just to have awareness of what we're doing, what kind of life we're living, and that will benefit. I think it'll benefit us tremendously, and I think if the Talmud says, as an explanation of the verse, what does the Almighty want for us? And it says, what does the Almighty want? 100 blessings? It really covers everything, because the Almighty wants us to have a wonderful life, not just in a spiritual realm, but in a physical realm as well. And we can have our cake and eat it too. Indeed, we can have this world, we can have next world, we can have the physical and spiritual. That is the total package that we can get, and we can be helped along the way with a focus on blessings. That's my call to action, everyone. Wonderful as usual. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys next time.
So next time we're gonna do what?
I don't know, what should we do?
We're gonna do the Second Amendment.
Oh, you want to do it? So yeah, send it out now. We'll do Second Amendment.
Is Brad and all of them coming?
Well, if I announce it, they might find it more appealing as a topic.
And it's on Thursday now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thursday.
Yes. Thursday. Made it on Thursday. We'll be in trouble.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because Ben 2.0 works on Wednesday, so he said he can come on
I'm
Thursday.
I'm absolutely terrified. Tell him I'm terrified.
Well, that means that I can make